Beautiful spot. Still a bit of accumulated snow lying around, which I wanted. Oh, yeah, really pleased. We'll get the pack off and we'll see what the access looks like in the snowy conditions it was designed for. So tonight we've got a named storm heading over from Ireland. It's tracking sort of eastwards, northeastwards towards Scandinavia. But it's going to bring some high winds here in the UK. Storm Isha, I believe it is, or Storm Isha. So I wanted to test the MSR Access 1. It's sold as a 4-season tent. So we'll at least go some way to seeing how it fares, both in terms of temperature and wind resistance on this camp here today. I'm going to get the tent set up, the footprint out, and I'll bring you back when we're all pitched up. It's the Delta ground anchors, invaluable when conditions are forecast to be a bit challenging. Just a bit of an insurance policy to keep the guy lines nice and secure in theory. So we've got them, and yeah, a couple of craft beers and everything which we need, hopefully, for an enjoyable camp. So that's it, all pitched. Now I brought along 2 additional guy lines, which the southwesterly, so the wind's going to be coming from this direction. I'm going to put them on. You know, I need 4 more. So before the battery on this awful GoPro died, yeah, I'm going to guy it out with those 2 additional points. It's got a hub system with these carbon poles. It's really light, and the room in it, despite the small footprint, especially for the one person, is massive. And it's the real steep walls. There's no point talking about it. I'll just show you when we get in the tent. I'll get these guy lines on and we'll get in the tent and I'll show you the space in the Access 1. Finally in the orange home from home, and it's nice instantly to get out of that wind, and it's always exciting when you climb into your tent. I defy anyone to get that, not get that rush. It's like being a kid, isn't it, getting into your den. And this is our home throughout the night, whatever the storm brings. And yeah, fantastic, having an absolutely brilliant time. It's always a lot more exciting and interesting in the snow, especially when there's some bad weather's forecast. But yeah, mat wise, near where X them, I get that up. I've got a quilt, I've got my quilt. Usually I'd take a sleeping bag in conditions like this, but I thought I want to see what the quilt, you know, performs like. I've got another quilt, a bit of a top quilt to go over that as well. But yeah, it's nice to be in the tent. We'll make it like home, bring you some of the views, and hopefully you're enjoying it as much as I am actually being here doing it. The heavyweights are out, no messing around. When it's this cold, you need your heavy winter mitts. Even a meal, lovely beef and potato stew. There we go. It's the quilt. The X them. It's going to save us on this cold, snowy, icy ground. So as you can no doubt hear, the weather conditions are deteriorating, and that's expected as the storm heads towards our location and passes across the UK. It's going to be notably worse potentially tomorrow, but we should get, you know, a bit of a taste of the approaching storm, and, you know, hopefully see what the tent can handle. Ant has pitched a remote spot there. He's done that intentionally because he wants to push the OEX as much as he can, and it has stood up to some pretty strong and damaging gusts previously. If you've not seen some of the videos on Ant's channel featuring that, head over there and check it out. I'll leave a link below. But it's there's something really nice, isn't there, about being in your tent, nice and warm and comfortable as the weather kind of builds up outside. That's just unbeatable and all part of the adventure. So we're just starting to lose the light. There's probably about half an hour of daylight left. Temperatures are really plummeting when you get out, you know, filming, things like that. It's nice and warm inside the tent, under the quilts, under the two quilts. I've got my nice, you know, mitts with me as well. They come into their own in these kind of conditions. The wind chill is Baltic because I think there's a bit of moisture in the air, so it's kind of exacerbating that cooling effect, you know, with the moisture kind of just, yeah, evaporating off your skin in the wind. But the bobcat's doing well. Ant's, like I say, he's picked a more exposed pitch just to test his gear, really. So if I spin you around, I'll just show you again, and there he is. He's picked a very exposed spot. Well, that's intentional because, you know, it's about testing the limits of this tent, really. And when you look at the structure of it, it's sort of blade-like in its profile, and it's pitched in exactly the right direction there. So yeah, I'm gonna shut up.
I've been testing this for here we go. Yeah, I've been testing this for about, well, it's been a full season really. It's going to be a full year. So, and I mainly want to test it through bad weather. So it is there to break, and I'm not disrespecting my gear. I just want to make sure that this is the correct tent to take out on camps like this. Yeah. You know, it's not always hunky-dory and always nice weather when you go out. No. And I want to make sure that I'm okay and happy in this tent, and up to now I am.
It's doing good.
Cheers, man.
Yeah, so that's about the bearable limit for coming out with no hands on, just to get this footage and operating the buttons on cameras and the like. So I'm going to get back in. It won't be too long before I'm having an evening meal, but I will keep coming out just to get you as much footage as I can, just to kind of bring as much of this experience to you watching at home. Soon it's going to be time to have the first beer, and then we'll fire up the stove again just for a nice warming evening meal. Fantastic so far, really enjoyable and good fun. lapskos, storfigejot, hoteter. There you go, pronounced in a Scandinavian accent. That is lovely, really is nice. And I'm not going to talk about it, I'm just going to make it. So let's see how quick they react. I mean, let's see. I mean, I've used one for many years, over 10 years, 15 years, the original. This is a much newer version, although it hasn't really changed much. There's some minor tweaks. I'm getting sidetracked, but I'll go into that maybe in a future video if there's any interest in it. But it is rapid. Craig, the Cragall, or Craig, mate, I hope you're enjoying yours, and you and the family have managed to get out and use it on some outdoor adventures. Craig obviously won one of these in a giveaway, lucky man. So always watch the videos all the way through. I know YouTubers strive to get more people watching the vids. When I say YouTuber, I just mean generically putting videos on YouTube. But yeah, watch the videos all the way through. A, it helps me, it doesn't cost you anything, and B, you might be in the chance, or you might be in with a chance of winning some fantastic gear by MSR or equivalent. So whilst that's rehydrating, we'll just get some tunes on, and I'll probably go for a bit of Beatles, I think. Unfortunately, you guys at home won't be able to listen because it is copyrighted, and YouTube will tell me off and yeah, remove God knows what on the video. So yeah, I'll speak to you in a bit. In fact, no, what am I talking about? Beer time. I almost messed up. That was almost a catastrophic omission. So here we go. I've not had that one before. It's from the Glen Affric Brewery, obviously up in Scotland, and it's called Highland Suntan, and it's an extra pale ale. Can you have a Highland Suntan? There you go, controversial, but when you look at the side of the can, it's won absolutely loads, a plethora of awards. What does it say? Oh, nice. Brewed to be there we go. I knew it was a bit of an oxymoron. Brewed to be as pale as a Scottish suntan. This is our flagship beer. I don't even know if oxymoron's the right word at the moment. The cold is creeping into my vocabulary. It's affecting my vocab. Probably go everywhere. I don't know. A tame one. A nice smell has enveloped the tent. Oh, that is lovely. Really nice beer. Genuinely, every now and again, you know, well, a lot of them taste the same or very similar, and then one comes along and just like smash it out the park. And this one, I don't know if anyone's tried it, Highland Suntan, but it's well worth it in my opinion, especially when you're out on a wild camp. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this, get into that meal, get some warm food down us, and then we'll get back out the tent, take in what we can see outside with our head torch. We'll go and speak to Ant again, and then yeah, I'll bring you back in a bit. Well, the obligatory few mouthfuls for the camera. It smells absolutely great, it looks great, and it's nice and warm in your hands. Beef and potato stew. That's so welcoming, especially with this lovely pale ale. As always, cheers to the great outdoors. I'll enjoy this in peace, and I'll speak to you in a bit. So here we are, tents by night, and it's warmed up. The thaw is upon us, so we're getting a bit of everything on this camp. Although it's warmed, the trade-off is the winds are picking up. So there's a wind warning for this area from 10 PM now on my phone. That's the latest forecast, and don't get me wrong, it's still cold in the wind. with that chill, but the air temperature on a standalone basis doesn't feel as cold. Seen a good bit of rain and wind driven rain, and it's not leaked a drop, and I haven't sealed the tent, so thumbs up in that respect. And you can see how saturated the ground is now with this melt water, the snow melt. Look at that, absolute saturation under the tent. Everything looks good, nice and taut, just how we want it, and we'll get back in and preserve some of our warmth. Well, the winds are just starting to pick up again. Ant has had a few sort of bits and pieces that have woke him up. He's having a bit of a snooze, just relaxing, but every now and again a gust comes through that's really powerful, and that's how it always starts. It just builds up, doesn't it, gradually. So it's looking promising. There's quite a lot of movement, and yeah, it's really getting a little bit tasty now. Hopefully it's just going to build on from that. I've got earplugs if needs be. I've checked all the guy lines again. We're hunkered down really nicely here, and yeah, we'll see what the weather brings. If nothing amazing happens, I'll speak to you in the morning. If it gets more severe, which it's forecast to do, fingers crossed, I'll bring you back throughout the night. Well, yeah, I will yeah, it's starting to live up to the forecast, so I'll speak to you soon. If not tonight, I'll speak to you in the morning. Well, good morning everyone. It was a good night's sleep. I had to put the earplugs in the end. The winds did pick up for a good few hours throughout the night. It was pitch black. Couldn't be bothered getting my phone out. You'll have to take my word for that one, but the tent handled it well. There's a bit of condensation in here. I did have half of the inner zipped open, but I couldn't open the outer fly door because it was bucketing it down. So on the waterproof front, it hasn't leaked a drop. Condensation wise, you know, there's nothing which can prevent it really, other than trying to vent tent as much as possible. I've got a bit of an old beer towel, I just take that with me, so give it a bit of a wipe, and it's sort of dried off now, so that's absolutely fine. There's a lovely sunrise coming up. I will turn you around. You've seen that with a bit of b-roll, but that's Pendle Hill in the distance there. All the snow is pretty much melted. Looking across the Longridge Fell, really nice scenes in the great outdoors, and this of course is why we do it in the first place, isn't it? To see and experience things like this. So Storm Isha, or Storm Isha, is very much on its way. You can obviously tell that the snow's melted. There'll be some warm air coming ahead of that storm front. We've got a couple of hours just to get packed up and escape that, unless it hits earlier than expected. So we're very much being chased off our location by the approaching storm. I'm in work tomorrow, so I couldn't have come out and tried to experience that, even if I wanted to. But I think there's potentially 80 miles per hour winds forecast on the higher ground, and there's not many tents that can withstand that, and you probably have to be a little bit insane to go out and intentionally want to wreck your gear. That's not to say I wouldn't have tried somewhere potentially more sheltered, but yeah, I'm in work, so there's nothing I can do about that. But we'll see as it approaches. We might just get the start of it in our location here. I've had a nice warming brew. I've just woke Ant up by shouting at him to look at the sunrise. You could hear him sleeping away there, and yeah, gonna get packed away. We'll speak to Ant. He's kind enough to make some nice breakfast, and we'll bring you as much of the views as we can prior to saying goodbye. Well, the weather has hit a little bit earlier than expected, so it's a bit of a hasty pack up. We thought we had a couple of hours grace so we could get off, but the gusts are just really ferocious. How's the OEX doing?
It's doing alright. I've had to shut the front door down then because
it's rough gusts.
Once I shut it, it's blowing into the what's it called, because the wind is head on, so it's a little bit petrifying when you're trying to cook.
Very welcome.
Afternoon, pal.
Thanks very much.
Alright, mate.
Sausage party courtesy of Anne. Thanks very much.
Right, so this is it. We'll get this.
Time to get the pegs out and get some kind of order, thinking about what we're doing. Right, I'll record 2 outros just in case you can't hear me on this one. I'll do another one back in the car just in case. Thanks very much for watching this video. Got a real different mix of weather conditions, challenging, and the tent performed well. Get over the fact that in wet weather, you know, you've got to think a bit more with in a pitch first tent. Well, then it's definitely one to consider. It stood up to some very strong winds and it was totally waterproof. Thank you very much to Ant for coming along on this one. I'll leave a link to Ant's channel below. Check out his version of this camp and go and check out his videos. Go and enjoy the great outdoors, whatever the weather. You've got the gear, the kit, a bit of experience and knowledge. You know where you're going. Play it safe, take it easy, don't do anything stupid. But come out and enjoy it and get our younger generation out there too. Let's get back down to the car, dry out, and I'll see you on the next adventure. Take care.